Hello everyone, welcome back. Today I'd like to emphasize something important. Well, I always like to emphasize something important. Today is no different. So the area that I want to focus on is the fact that moving forward in consciousness, in energy, is not just about accessing universal truth. It's about creating life from a higher awareness, from a higher perspective. And I know that this area, it's still not something that it's really understood, or even like it's still something abstract and has no real, I don't know, space to become a truth inside most people. Because, like I said, things have been how have been, and there's so much noise inside most people. So that thing is still something that, oh, somebody says that, but whatever, inside me, I cannot see that. Anyway, so I want to give you a personal example to make you understand the importance of basically everything, but in this case, importance of design to how one creates life and how improves and changes life, actually in all areas. So I was a student in the early 2000s studying architecture, and I saw this connection between fashion and architecture, well, graphic design too, somewhere there, especially using certain fonts, certain types of fonts. Because, well, fashion was my my first love. Without going into that story, I would see in this fashion magazine the use of certain fonts that were airy, light, and that would give you a different energy when you would read, I don't know, an article, the content, how you would enjoy, how you would consume that content, whether it was pictures, like photographs, or, I don't know, simple articles about something. And I could see that, and then I was like, and because of course, architecture uses as well, because that's the thing, they are related. Design, well, design is in everything, and architecture is design, uses design, but it's more than just architecture. It's not just this, it is design, but it is design that includes basically takes a lot of things into consideration when something is being created. But anyway, I would see, as I said, in the fashion magazine, this kind of articles and things, and I was like, why don't I use this type of fonts in my presentation? Because as architects, you learn how to present your project, you have to make presentations, things that now are really common, and there's a lot of templates and are taken for granted. Then most people don't know that these things were things that people that would study architecture and design and art would actually have access to. And as I said, back then I just saw this connection, and I didn't see it anywhere else being expressed. I would look around for other types of inspiration. How could I present my projects better, or have a different vibe? And I wouldn't see that, but I saw this particular connection. I was like, why don't I do that? And I started using those fonts that I liked. And I found some people like, why do you use those fonts? Or why do you, like, because they look cool. And they were like, yeah, you're right. It looks different. It makes things better and like nicer and friendlier and lighter, and it changes the vibe. It elevates things. And as I said, so I didn't see any examples around me where that was a thing. I just saw the connection. A few years later, I would start to see this kind of type of use. Now, a common font is Helvetica, by the way. And I started to see it integrated into website designs, into more like not just desktop application, but mobile applications, which until then those things have been poorly designed, blocky, limited, and not as nice, or the vibe, what you would experience when you would use it wouldn't be let's say, the most optimal, or how most things look like now. And then I'll start to see these companies, big names like, I don't know, Windows, Apple, whatever, starting to design their websites with things like that. And of course, other companies, not just in IT, but in various areas. So now design is, graphic design is something that has entered, has pierced this veil that was, like, as I said, this thing was, this type of information, this knowledge, available only to architects, designers, visual artists, and things like that, into most people's lives somehow. And that thing is through media, through online media and in general, but now mostly through online media. And that has changed the perception of like how we see, how we understand each other, how we want to look, how we want to present ourselves, what kind of image we're trying to portray, is like, well, we're trying to actually communicate with others. And although this has changed the perception about ourselves and everything in general, and how actually life can be interpreted and how can be expressed and be lived, to, although positive stuff, there's a lot of positive stuff, but also things like, I don't know, anxiety, more anxiety than ever, because most people, well, you look on Instagram or whatever, and then most people will start to compare with others, and they say, oh, I'm not there, these people are doing this, and I'm here, I'm not doing so much fun stuff, so there's something wrong with me. And you start to hate your life, you start to hate yourself. So it has led to other type of problems that until now those things weren't even in the awareness of people, that things like this could even exist. And that is just something that happened in the last decade, because design has merged with information technology, and this has changed how we see things, how we present ourselves, and as I said, this has actually brought a lot of progress, because it has made a lot of, I don't know, things in our life, services, much easier to access, how we can do life, economics, whatever. Now we're moving, as I said, into the era where the visible, the physical things move into the digital, the invisible, the no object is just really at the level of concept, which, as I said, is like we're getting closer to like more into the invisible, if you want, zone through that. So the problem here is the fact that, yes, technology and design have merged, but people haven't really evolved at the level of like how quickly design with technology, what they have done. Well, the people that could merge those things, most people haven't been. Well, now they will have to start to catch up with that, as like to change, to elevate, to change, to question what life was and how they did life until now, and what that meant for them, and what they need to leave behind, because a lot of things, because of these two things, design and technology, has made a lot of things redundant, old, expired. And that's very, very challenging for basically everyone in various ways. It forces you to think. It forces you to think new ways of being and doing things. But if you stay at the level where life has been, you cannot see those levels, and that's where actually the frustration and this friction still exists. Is because most people are trapped in, first of all, in their own story, personal story, trauma, and then you have this layer of information that affects how you interact, how you do life, and then it's becoming increasingly challenging if one cannot, well, transcend, leave behind what they have been. Also, this is a time where, like I said, what has been, I said at other times, what has been unconscious will have a space into the conscious mind, because until now, as I said, the level of energy has allowed for only a certain amount of information that can stay in the conscious awareness. So the other things had to run in the background and not be able to, like, oh, that's there or that's doing this, unless you start to actually monitor what's happening inside yourself. But moving forward from now on, you will experience, or those that actually continue to clean and will work on themselves and elevate themselves, will start to see that a lot of these things that I'm saying, that until now have been hard to actually, or didn't have space inside one's mind, even about like learning new things, I don't know, technology, like I said, or programming that felt like, oh, it's hard to understand, whatever. These things becoming increasingly easier as more space allows for things to become conscious and have a physical space in our awareness, in our mind, in our conscious mind. And it will not just do that, but it will give you the ability to make connections that you couldn't actually make until that point. And like I said, moving forward is about creating new life or domains of knowing. And life as a whole is about creating new domains of knowing to experience certain concepts, certain ideas. And this will become increasingly more complex. The understanding will become increasingly more complex. But then again, this type of complexity will be easily integrated, and they will, as I said, fall into the background and then be integrated and feel as normal, and then we'll move to other things, we'll come to new conclusions, and then we'll actually move to the next level and the next level as we accrete energy, as we change ourselves. So yeah, that's what life is about, and that's what's the meaning of, like, what it is to actually create new domains of knowing. Is about crystallizing more complex thoughts, complexities, if you want. It sounds weird, but that's what it is. It's like all these things that until now felt complex all of a sudden becomes like nothing, and then you combine this nothing with another thing, and then it becomes another bigger thing, but then this also becomes normal, and then it's easily integrated. So yeah, I know it sounds still weird, but that's the reality, and that's why it's so hard to actually accept it and to deal with what's coming, because, like I said, there is a default level how humanity, or a certain part of humanity, is going to go about life and reaccreting energy and expressing that type of energy as a type of awareness, and how they do life, and others will express quicker, faster certain things. So yeah, it's going to be very, very interesting from now on, but also very, very challenging. So that's something that you should keep in mind. Okay, I hope this was interesting. See you next time. Ciao. Love is so big, and it's so